There was a woman who had 9 daughters. Había una señora con 9 hijas. A woman with 9 daughters. Una, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, seis, siete, ocho, nueve. 9 daughters. And the oldest daughter, la mayor de las 9, the oldest girl had 9 eyes. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, seis, siete, ocho, nueve. The next daughter had 8 eyes. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, seis, siete, ocho. How many eyes do you think the next daughter is going to have? 7 ojos. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, seis, siete. What about the youngest one? La más menorcita, the littlest one of all. Un solo ojo aquí en medio de la frente. She had one eye right in the middle of her forehead. I don't know how many eyes the mother had, but I do know this. If the mother's eyes were closed, that meant she was wide awake. If the mother's eyes were open, that meant she was sound asleep. And if you have heard what they say about witches in the old stories, that gives you a clue about that mother. Well, one day, all 9 sisters were walking down a shady road together. And the girl who had 2 eyes, her name was Mirel. She wandered away from her sisters, and she saw a bright green bird sitting on the low branch of a tree, singing a beautiful song. The song was so lovely that she was attracted by the music. She walked toward the bird, and the bird didn't fly away. She started stroking the feathers of its back, and then the bird talked to her. It told her that it was really a prince, and the bird asked her if she would marry it. She didn't even think about it. She said that she would. And the bird flew away. She ran back to her sisters and told them what had happened. Her sisters said, "Ew, ¿cómo puedes casarte con un pájaro? How could you marry a bird? Tus hijos van a nacer todos cubiertos de plumas. Your children are going to be born with feathers all over them." But she said to her sisters, "Es mi gusto y voy a casarme con el pájaro. It's what I want to do. I'm going to marry the bird." She told her mother what she had promised, and even though her mother forbade her to do it, she married the bird, and she went away with him. He told her his name was Prince Pájaro Verde, the green bird prince, and he took her to a palace in the mountains. In that palace, there were 9 rooms, and in each room there were 9 windows. And every night at 9 o'clock, the green bird would come and sing in every window. When he arrived at the last window, he would come inside, he would turn into a prince and lie down to sleep with his wife. The prince gave Mirabel the command of the whole palace, but he warned her not to reveal his secret to anybody. He gave her a little bottle. It was full of agua dormidera, sleepy water. He told her to sprinkle that water on the bed of anyone who came to stay at the palace. It would make them fall into a deep sleep, and they would not learn the truth about him. Well, one day the mother spoke to her oldest daughter. The mother was awake, so her eyes were closed. She said, "Go and visit your disobedient sister. Find out about this husband of hers. Since you have 9 eyes, you can see best." The 9-eyed girl went to the palace, and Mirabel met her at the door. She said, come in, let me show you my home." The 9-eyed sister was amazed at the beautiful furniture, elegant carpeting, lovely pictures on the walls of the palace. But no matter where she looked with her 9 eyes, she couldn't see anything of a green bird. Nighttime came. Mirabel made a bed for her sister. She got out the little bottle of agua dormidera. She pulled out the stopper. She sprinkled that water on the bed. And as soon as the 9-eyed sister climbed into the bed, she was sound asleep. She didn't hear or see anything when the green bird arrived and sang in each window. When he arrived at the last window, he came inside and he said to Mirabel, "Who is here?" She told him, "My oldest sister has come for a visit." He said, "Be very careful. If nothing jealous or envious happens, everything will be fine. But if anything spiteful should happen, I will have to leave you. You will never see me again." And then in the morning before he left, he told Mirabel she could give her sister anything she wanted from the palace. The 9-eyed girl went home with beautiful gifts for her mother, but with no news about the green bird. And then for the next 5 days, the mother sent a different daughter. First, la de los 8 ojos, and then la de 7 ojos, y luego la de 6, y la de 5, y por fin la de 4 ojos. But the same thing happened every single time. Mirabel would sprinkle the sleepy water on the bed. They didn't see anything. And then the mother sent the daughter who had 3 eyes. But Pájaro Verde had warned his wife, "I am about to be free from the spell I've been living under. If nothing envious happens, I will become a king, and you will be a queen. Be very cautious." So when the 3-eyed sister came, Mirabel sprinkled sleepy water on her bed. She did not see anything. And then the mother called for the youngest daughter of all, la de un solo ojo. She said to the little girl, "Your big sisters with all their eyes didn't see a thing. You go and see what you can discover." The little girl said, "If my big sisters couldn't do it with all the eyes they have, how am I supposed to do it with only 1 eye?" But her mother told her to go anyway, and so she went. Mirabel met her at the door. "Pasa, pasa, te voy a mostrar mi casa. I'll show you my home." And the 1-eyed sister was aghast at everything she saw in that house. When she had seen everything, she said, "Oh, Now I'm tired. I want to go to bed. Mirabel said to her, you need to eat some supper first. But the little sister said, no, I'm too sleepy. Just let me go to bed. She made a bed for her little sister. And she said to herself, my little sister is so young and she's so tired. She's not going to see anything. Y no se tomó la molestia de rociar la cama con el agua dormidera. She didn't bother to sprinkle any of the water on the bed. The one-eyed sister climbed into the bed. She yawned and stretched. She said, tápame bien con la sábana. Cover me up with the sheet, she said. And Mirabel covered her very well. But the little girl poked a hole in the sheet. With her one eye, she looked through that hole and she saw everything. At 9 o'clock, she saw the green bird arrive and sing in every window. She saw that when he arrived at the last window, he came inside and turned into a prince. The prince said to Mirabel, who is here? She laughed. She said, my little sister has come for a visit. And he said, I know. And you were very careless. You didn't sprinkle sleepy water on her bed. She has seen everything. Tomorrow at this time, I will visit you for the last time, and then I will have to leave you. In the morning, Mirabel said to her little sister, what did you see last night? The little girl said, nothing. Just give me some breakfast so that I can go home. She quickly ate her breakfast. She wouldn't take any gifts from the palace. But she ran home and said to her mother, my big sisters with all their eyes didn't see anything, but I saw that the green bird is a prince. At 9 o'clock he sings in every window. At the last window he comes inside. He turns into a handsome prince. The older sisters were filled with envy when they heard that. And their mother, who was even more evil-hearted than her daughters, went to the palace that very same day. She put long splinters of glass on the windowsills so that the green bird would cut himself and maybe even be killed. And then she and her daughters could take possession of his palace. Mirabel didn't know what her mother had done. At 9 o'clock, the green bird arrived. He sang in the first window. He went to the second window and he sang, but his voice was weaker. He went from window to window. His voice got more and more faint. At the last window, he couldn't sing at all. He came inside and he said to Mirabel, you have truly been thoughtless and unkind, and now I must leave you. They looked out the window. A huge black raven arrived, pulling a carriage behind it. He got into that carriage and he went away. Mirabel ran and she packed her princess gown. She packed her crown of gold. She packed the little bottle of sleepy water, and she started following the carriage. But before long she was tired. She lost sight of the carriage. She sat down under a tree to rest. There were little birds up in that tree, and they talked to her. They told her that Pájaro Verde was very sick, but that there was a way to cure him. They said she should give her sleepy water to them. And while they were sleeping, she should cut their little throats and fill her bottle with their blood. If she could find Pájaro Verde and cover him with little bird's blood, the splinters of glass would be drawn out of him, and he could get well. She gave a drop of sleepy water to each of those little birds. While they slept, she cut their throats. She filled her bottle with their blood. And then, when the birds awoke, they flew away, as healthy as ever. And she started searching for Pájaro Verde. She searched all up and down the world. She even came to the moon's house. She said, "Luna, Luna, ¿ha visto por ahí a Pájaro Verde? Have you seen the green bird around here?" The moon said, "No, noche tras noche yo voy de ventana en ventana. No he visto a Pájaro Verde en ninguna parte." The moon said, "I go from window to window, night after night, and I haven't seen the green bird anywhere." And then the moon told her she should go to the sun's house. The moon said, "Puede que el sol te dé razón de él. Maybe the sun can give you some news about him." She traveled and she traveled and she traveled, and she came to the sun's house. She said, "Sol, Sol, ¿ha visto por ahí a Pájaro Verde? Have you seen the green bird around here?" And the sun said, "Sí lo he visto. Está en la casa de su padre, el rey. Está muy enfermo." The sun said, "I have seen him. He's in his father's house, the king's house. He is very sick." She said, "Oh, take me to him." But the sun said he couldn't do it. He told her to go to the wind's house. The sun said, "Fácil el aire te puede llevar. The wind could easily carry you." She traveled and she traveled and she traveled. She arrived at the wind's house. She said, "Aire, aire, ¿hay noticias de Pájaro Verde? Is there any news about the green bird?" The wind looked sad. He said, "Ay, dicen que ya no hay remedio para él. They say there is no hope for him." She said, "Take me to him." And the wind told her to get into a big leather sack. He lifted that leather sack with a gust of air. He blew her across mountains and valleys. The gust he was carrying her with blew everyone away from in front of the palace door. When she climbed out of the leather sack, She was all alone in front of the palace gate. And then servants came running outside to find out what was going on. She said, "Is there any news about the prince?" And they told her, "Ya no hay esperanza de que se salve." There's no hope that he can survive. She said, "I can cure him if you will let me." They ran to tell the king what she had said. The king called for Mirel. He said to her, "If you cure my son, I will build a palace for you as fine as my own palace. I will provide for your every need for the rest of your life." She told them to bring her a sheet. She covered the sheet with little bird's blood. She wrapped the prince up in the sheet, and right away the color came back to his cheeks. 3 times she wrapped him in the sheet, soaked with little bird's blood, and the slivers of glass were drawn out of him. He began to get well. When he was well, the king kept his word. He built a palace for her right next to his own palace. But the prince didn't know that she was the one who had cured him. And shortly he became engaged to marry a princess from a faraway land. That princess arrived with silken gowns and diamond jewelry, with servants and ladies in waiting. Mirabel waited until the morning of the wedding day, and then she dressed herself in her princess gown. She put the crown of gold on her head, and she went to the church. Just when the wedding was about to begin and the prince was standing in front of the altar, she walked to the front of the church and stood beside him. The prince turned to see who was standing beside him. Suddenly, he recognized her. He remembered everything. He turned around and he shouted to the people, "Esta es mi esposa." "This is my wife," he said. And he called off the wedding with the other princess. And he was reunited with his own true love. And do you know what happened when the envious mother and her daughters went to take possession of Pájaro Verde's palace? They found absolutely nothing there. Even with all the eyes they had, all they saw in front of them was a cold, empty mountainside. That's the story of Pájaro Verde, the green bird.